With everything ever made or ever done, someone had to be first. And for some things, like certain inventions, it's very clear who invented it or did it first, but for other things, it's a little more ambiguous. But those instances often make for the best stories. As such, the story of Adolf Anderle, the man who at 24 invented modern-day whitewater kayaking. Or at least, so the story goes. The story takes place on the Saltzock River, one of Austria's largest rivers. A river Anderle must have paddled many times before, and he knew the area well. He studied it and its rivers. But what makes the Saltzock so special is one of its features, the Saltzock Orphan. The Saltzock Orphan is a giant gorge falling into a tunnel through the surrounding mountains, and no one had ever thought of paddling through there, except for Anderle. Everyone who paddles from Werfen and stops at the railway bridge at the entrance of the Saltzock Orphan gets disheartened by the following 3-kilometer portage over the gorge. From the narrow footbridge above, you can just see the river break out of the tunnel and like a silver staircase fall over the boulders, only to suddenly transition back in a smooth and calm flow. The idea of conquering this unspoiled stretch had been with me for over 10 years, but it was generally thought a boat, even if it would make its way through the gorge, wouldn't survive the rapids and drops at the exit. But after I spent many hours scouting the river and climbing and hiking through the gorge, I finally came to the conclusion it should be possible, even if only barely. He knew very well what he was about to do, and he was well aware of the dangers, but still, he had made up his mind. And on September 6th, 2 o'clock sharp in 1931, accompanied by 3 of his close friends, he drove up to the Saltzock River to undertake one of the most incredible feats in kayaking history. As I put on my spray deck and jacket, my friend gives me one last piece of advice. He tries to look confident, but he knows as well as I, if I flip and lose my paddle, I won't make it out alive. The second rapid in the approach is the easiest, but in no way inferior to the others. My boat shoots over the rapid and a large wave breaks over my boat. I brace and let another wave break over my deck, and for a second I am in complete darkness. Then I catch a glimpse of my friends waving and shouting. And what makes this whole story even more incredible is that he set off in a self-made skin-on-frame folding kayak, which he named Fram. And unlike the nimble and sturdy plastic whitewater kayaks we know and love today, Fram was a 16 feet long, 21-inch wide boat. And more so, he didn't have a fancy carbon paddle. No, all that stood between him and certain death was an old wooden paddle. I had to wait for 20 minutes in the eddy to give my friends enough time to make their way to the third rapid. Their signal shot run out throughout the entire gorge and I set off. This rapid is the hardest up to the tunnel. As I am surrounded by meter-high waves parallel to my boat, a large wave rises. I brace and throw myself over as it breaks over me. There's so much power, I fear my paddle broke. Would my years of training be able to save me? Would my paddle hold? It all happened so fast. Then, as I re-emerge, I catch a glimpse of my friends, pale as corpses standing ready on shore, ready to save me, to risk their own lives to save mine. There wouldn't have been much they could have done anyway, but I love them for it. I could have still landed and stopped here, but my paddle was fine, and so was my boat. I have to finish this. He then had to wait another 20 minutes for his friends to drive all the way to the other side of the gorge, leaving him all alone. He later wrote that if one of them would have stayed, he probably would have gave up. But luckily he didn't, and now he faced the most challenging part of his journey, the tunnel. I looked up as I saw the car drive away. Would I see it again? I could hear the thunder from downstream, and before me, like a huge Gothic window, the walls of the mountain closed. The Saltzock forces its way forward in tight S-turns, which at the narrowest points are only 4 meters wide. It's impossible to stay in the middle. The current pushes me to the side. I try desperately not to hit the walls. If only my boat wasn't as long and wide, I would have been more maneuverable. There are no eddies anymore. I have to go on. And there I go. The water 1,000 times stronger than a man would resist frantic strokes and powerful pushes. I am at its mercy. Ahead of me, I see light on the ceiling. I hardly notice the waves breaking on my back deck, and in front of me, the river is lined with rocks. But where can I exit? I remember my training and pick a drop which looks suitable, but even I can be wrong. The drop is much deeper than I expected. I fly over the edge, and the Fram is in the air. Then, with a loud clap, she hits the calm and smooth water once again. Only 100 meters until the sandbar. It's the fastest I've ever paddled. Adolf Anderle was the first person to kayak through the Saltzock Orphan, and with that he changed whitewater kayaking forever. Unfortunately, not 5 months after his achievement, he would give his life in a skiing accident, and I can't help to think what would have happened if he would have been given the time to push his kayaking even further. Then perhaps the whole world would have known his name. In the end, for me, it doesn't really matter if he actually was the first. What matters though is that he had a vision. He had an idea to test the limits of himself and the sport that he loved. He pushed to evolve kayaking, and he did, shifting the boundaries of what we thought possible at the time. Ultimately, what he did on that 6th of December 1931 was inspire a new generation of paddlers. And for me, that's what makes him the father of whitewater kayaking. Hey paddlers, if you like this video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. As always, thanks for watching and I hope to see you on the water soon. And don't forget, paddle on.